Hi everyone. In this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about what PCM is and how the Chromasound devices handle it. Before I discuss PCM and what it is, I have to talk a little bit about its motivation. FM synthesizers like the Yamaha YM2612 have a fixed synthesis model that works great for melodic instruments. In particular, these chips produce sounds that incorporate sine waves that are at even multiples of the fundamental frequency, that is, the frequency of the note being played. However, natural drum sounds tend to incorporate frequencies at odd multiples of the fundamental. Synthesizing drum sounds on a YM2612 isn't impossible, and it's been done effectively, but it can only go so far. To compensate for this shortcoming, the YM2612 is able to play back small recorded audio samples of actual drum sounds. It does this using digital to analog conversion. The audio data is stored as numeric information and is converted to voltage levels that produce sound when connected to a speaker. This is where PCM comes in. PCM stands for pulse code modulation. A pulse code is an integer within a certain range. That code corresponds to a specific voltage. To produce that voltage, the device's power voltage is switched on and off in pulses in a way that produces a lower voltage. The power voltage can be reduced to a very specific voltage by varying the amount of time the power is switched on versus the amount of time between being switched on. This is referred to as the duty cycle of the modulated signal produced by the switch. Standard VGM song files contain data for sound synthesis as well as PCM data to be played over the FM synthesis. There is a single PCM track stored at the beginning of the file, and the synthesis commands perform jumps to different sections of the track at different points in time in the song. I call this sequential PCM because there is a single sequence of mixed percussion instruments in the song. The Chromasounds support a superset of the VGM command set that allow them to handle PCM data in more ways. For sequential PCM, the Chromasound Nova maintains two read pointers, one for synthesis and one for PCM, and reads from the song on the microSD accordingly. Alternatively, PCM data can be embedded inside the synthesis section, so only one pointer, and therefore half the block operations, are needed. I refer to this as inline PCM, because the PCM data is inlined in the synthesis section of the song. The Chromasound Pro also supports these two PCM strategies. It supports one more strategy, and that is the following. The PCM track in this song in this strategy is actually a collection of instrument sounds, one stored after the other. The Pro loads this track into its external SRAM and maintains up to 4 read pointers into the SRAM. This is possible because access to the SRAM is much faster than access to the SD card. The VGM file sets these read pointers at different times in the song using synthesis commands, and the Chromasound Pro begins to play the drum samples stored there simultaneously. In this way, the Chromasound Pro plays the drum instruments in real time. In contrast, inline and sequential PCM record all of the instruments into a single track ahead of time. I call the third PCM strategy random PCM because it works using random access to the SRAM on the byte level. In contrast, the microSD provides random access on the block level. To access a specific byte address on a microSD, you have to read in 512 bytes to retrieve the block in which the byte address resides. The Chromasounds can play sequential PCM at a rate of 44.1 kHz. 44.1 kHz is kind of the gold standard and is what is used on audio CDs. To make the other PCM strategies possible, the Chromasound downsamples the audio data in order to perform faster. Inline PCM can be played at 22.05 kHz. The Chromasound Pro can provide 4 PCM channels in the random strategy, each at 22.05 kHz. The Chromasound Pro Direct can provide random PCM at 14.7 kHz. The highest frequency that can be played is always half the sample rate. This is called the Nyquist frequency. Humans typically cannot hear frequencies above 22 kHz, which explains the choice of 44.1 kHz for sampling rate, and have a hard time hearing frequencies above 10 kHz. Therefore, the downsampling performed by the Chromasound has a negligible effect on the resulting sound of the drum samples. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this explanation of drums and percussion on the Chromasound. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below in the comments.